And make sure to check us out on Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Just search Dbacks Dispatch. We'll be right there. But before we get into the games, we got some news before the game on Friday that Paul Sewald had been relieved of his closer duties. Y'all, I was shocked. I was shocked that Torey actually did this. I thought Torey was going to just say, because he kept saying, Paul's our closer. Paul's our closer. So I just didn't think he'd actually do it. He did. And to be honest, I think it worked somewhat. Paul did pitch 2 times this weekend. So it did seem to work somewhat. But let's just go in game 1. Game 1 was absolutely ridiculous. Just in the first inning, we start with a Corbin Carroll home run, Little League homer, triple and an error. Cattell hits a Allegheny River home run. Jock also hits a Allegheny home run. And then Josh Bell, this was his first game. First pitch he sees, hits a homer. I know technically it was 3 homers, but it was 4. Because Carroll ended up scoring on the pitch that he saw. It was just bad throw by Cruz there. So 4-0 before you can even blink. Like, this team in the first inning is truly just ridiculous. Like, they're third with 24 home runs. They're second in runs. Like, it's truly amazing. I just wish they could do it in every inning, not just the first inning. So I hope they can get this figured out. Gabe, how excited were you when you saw what this team did right off the bat?
Yeah, as soon as it started, I was like, oh god, like, we're going to score 10 runs. It's going to be an easy win. And then, as I guess we saw later on, it wasn't too easy, but it was cool though. Like, it was really cool to see them like get up to such a hot start right away. Like, at the season, we've seen these be like the early backs. The issue was that they would turn into light down and Diamondbacks, or we wouldn't see the answer backs after this. Like, if they went down at any point, that was kind of it. I mean, luckily this game it went the D-backs way, but seeing Corbin hit that triple and then have cause an error to happen, essentially, like, this is what we want out of him. And Christian Cattell is on a crazy tear. It seems like every time he goes up there, he's going to hit a home run. And I know he threw a couple of almost gophers, but just the fact that he was able to come up clutch, even in those games where he had no hits going into the ninth, like, it was just incredible to watch. Like, this is a totally different team from what we've seen so far, and I'm really excited to see where they're going, especially facing off against Cleveland, who has an incredible pitching staff and incredible bullpen. Very, very curious to see what they do, because that's going to be the first, I think, true challenge in a while where they're facing elite pitching, up and down. The guys are facing for the starters and the relievers. So if they're able to do something like this against Cleveland, at least, it gives them a fighting chance to where guys like Gallen or even Erod aren't so, it's not necessary for them to, go out there and pitch perfect games.
Yeah, like, I wish we could figure out what it is, because they've done this a handful of times where they just jump on that team's starter right away in the first. It's really frustrating when they do this and then they don't really score at all for like 3 or 4 innings.
They just disappear. They just hope that. I mean, I get Brandon Pfaadt was on the bump, but it's like they just go, oh, no, we're fine. Game's over. Easy. Like, no, not really. Still got to put up more runs.
So, Brett, what would you say was the most impressive part of this 4 home runs? Was it the Josh Bell part? Was it Jock, Cattell?
I mean, I think the Josh Bell one for me, I'll definitely say, just because it's, we've seen a lot of people that struggle with pitches down the middle unless you're Aaron Judge. Sorry, that's just a big meme going around on Twitter right now. But sometimes just getting a pitch down the middle, even your first pitch, you might want to take a pitch or two to introduce yourself. But I think him going in there, especially with Walker going in the IL, us even last show talking about just like maybe missing that production, not even just offensively, but especially defensively. He immediately went in there and he was like, "Don't worry about it. I'm here to hit bombs. This is what I am here to do." And even just looking at it's not too surprising because his stats over the last 7 games. Obviously, I know there was talked about when we traded for him. I believe this is including this series as well. But he's hitting 389, 450, 944, 944 slugging. He has a 1394 OPS, 7 hits, 3 homers, 6 RBIs. Over his last 12, obviously numbers dip a little bit just because the sample sizes aren't looking as good. But 326, 426, 761 slug, still an over 1,000 OPS. I think it's just impressive to see him kind of come in here and just immediately make an impact, not just once but twice. And there's a fun stat, I believe it was on the broadcast of that was the second Diamondback in history to hit a home run on the very first pitch they see as a Diamondback. And the first one, I have it in the doc. I believe it might have been said on the broadcast or everybody saw it on Twitter. If you two haven't seen it yet, I'm curious if you guys have any guesses. If you already have seen it, I can just reveal it, obviously. But
yeah, I seen it in our doc.
Yeah, Didi Gregorius. So, which not gonna lie, looking at that YouTube video, holy cow! I think that was Bert's first year. It's insane that he's been in the booth for over 10 years for the Dbacks. Didn't realize it, but kind of having some extra Dbacks history and kind of putting his name up there in like I guess a quote Dbacks record book in his first game was just I'd say pretty impressive and a great way to see him introduce himself. Especially again that home run against Chapman. I think 103-mile-an-hour fastball, basically on the black away. Like that's a good pitch, and that's an even better swing that Bell had on it.
Yeah, Josh Bell just came out just on fire for this team. 2 home runs in his first game, 1 from each side of the plate, which is just outstanding. And you just brought it up. His numbers against Chapman coming into this weren't that great. And I think the fact that his D-backs debut was against the team he's played the most for, plus where he got his start for the Pittsburgh Pirates, I think is a very good way for him to adjust to being on a new team. Because I know for me personally, when I saw the move for Josh Bell, like I was like, okay, yeah, he's kind of there as a placeholder until Walker comes back. So far, he's been really good. His last 15 games, he has a OPS of 1.187 with 6 home runs. Like, if you just look at his season numbers, you're like, he's not that great. But just over the last 15 games, the last 2 or 3 weeks, Josh Bell has looked amazing. Gabe, what would you say Josh Bell needs to do for you to feel comfortable that will be okay for the next 3 weeks with Walker out?
Honestly, for me, it's mostly to do with the defense. It's like the play today with the Kevin Newman liner where the run scored. Christian Walker gets that easy, double play, inning over, game over. But Josh Bell wasn't in that position at that point. It was Kevin Newman, who hadn't really played much first base. So for me, it's honestly more the defense. I want to see a consistent defense from him. Maybe not Gold Glove, but be able to turn these double plays that need to be done. Because home runs, like he might hit one here and there, but we've also seen Walker go on stretches of 2 or 3 weeks where he is just, hitting nothing. He's swinging and missing like crazy, just racking up the strikeouts. So if that's who we have right now from Bell, just a guy who's going to be free swinging and getting a bunch of strikeouts, as long as he's getting his defense down, that's fine for me. That's what I need. But in the offensive side, I'm fine with him just slapping singles here and there. Like just the fact that he can hit righties and lefties, he's a switch hitter, he can stay in the game, which is what I wanted, which I wanted to see because I know I've talked about Vlad Jr., but if there's a righty coming up against Vlad Jr. or something like that way, Torrey doesn't have to play matchups because he can just send him out there. And as we've seen, he can mash lefties and righties. He can hit 103 off the corner with movement and everything. So he's been really impressive so far. He's been making really good contact. But again, the defense is what matters.
Yeah. To be honest, I thought they were going to platoon Josh Bell and Pavin Smith. I really thought that's what they were going to do. I was very shocked when they sent Pavin down to activate Josh Bell, which just, to me, thinks like they're like, Kevin Newman, we just need you to occasionally play first base, but we really need you up here to spell Gino, Domo, and Marte. Like, that's like, he can play more positions than Pavin can. Pavin can play first base, left, and right. And right now, outfield, I don't think we need another outfielder. Like right now, outfield, I mean, technically what we have 5 or 6. I mean, you could say 6 with Jock. Like Jock can play outfield, but do we want him to is a completely different thing. But no, this stat, Josh Bell, second player in MLB history to homer from both sides of the plate in a team debut. The only other person, fellow Diamondback, Felipe Lopez. Like, to me, that's absolutely crazy how no one else has ever done that. It's just 2 Arizona Diamondbacks. So, somewhat same question to you, Brett. What do you want to see from Josh Bell? Like, do you think if he does a job, we re-sign him?
I mean, the re-signing one, that's definitely a tough one, especially considering like I'm not sure if he can perform at this exact level just from this series, even in this like short time span. I think again it's the conversation to be had. I don't want to again act like we're gonna just move on from Walker. I still would rather have Walker here, but I just would like to see kind of like what Gabe said, if he can just at least provide just serviceable defense. Like, I'm not expecting him to make those insane plays that Walker, like only Walker makes, like no other first baseman is making that but Walker, but just make the easy one hoppers from Domo or Gino that are, most first basemen are meant to make. Just play league average defense, and I'm okay with that because at least we've seen it so far. We know he's gonna bop. We know he's gonna have some games, even like today, and we'll get to it in game 3 where he didn't, he didn't do the same thing with the 2 home runs, but he still had some decent at bats. So I think the biggest key would just be kind of agreeing with what Gabe said is just the defense. As long as it can stay somewhat, okay and not be an actual liability, I think it's, we can't ask for more from Josh Bell. But, like even he said, that play that Kevin Newman wasn't able to make, Josh Bell's not going to make that play either. At least I don't think he's going to make that play either.
William Harold, I know we're buddies. You better watch yourself. You better watch yourself, you damn troll. You damn troll. You know how much I hate Pavin Smith. Oh my God. We talked about it for length when we went to Diamondbacks Tigers game earlier this year. At least 2 innings worth because he was right in front of us there in right field. So, but no, like really good game. They were able to get the job done. It wasn't the most pretty win, but you don't get more points if you win by 1 or you win by 6. A win is a win. Fott didn't look the best in this game, which sucks because the one time offense decides to score for him, he doesn't exactly pitch that well. But that was, I think it had a lot to do with the heat. And we saw a lot of what I consider now the bullpen. We had Ginkel, Puck, Floro, J-Mart, and Ryan Thompson comes in for his second save of the season. So we win game 1. On to game 2, which was started by Mitch Keller and Jordan Montgomery. We had a rain delay, so both of them only went like 3 innings. I think Mitch Keller went 4 because basically they suspended the game after the top of the fourth. Slade Ciccone. So we went back and forth in our group about this discussion, and one of us is on one side, two of us really are on the other. I get that he's a former starter, so he has the stamina to pitch multiple innings, but we've seen what he looks like when he after 1 inning. He just struggles. And we really saw that in the 6th inning in this one. Like he just wasn't like, yes, he should have gotten a strikeout there on Andrew McCutcheon, and we'll get to him this later. Home plate umpires in this series were just straight awful in all 3 games. So bad. Like all 3, like on both sides. Like there were some, and I hate that they do it. They have makeup calls. Like, oh, that one should have been a strike. And like the next batter, literally same spot. No, it's a ball. I'm like, you got to stop this. Like, I cannot stand it. And I know the players and the coaches and the teams hate it, but that umpires union and Major League Baseball are pretty tight knit. So, Gabe, what do you think? Should they continue to try Slade in a multi-inning pitcher, or just have him be a 1 inning guy through everything that he's got, 10 to 15 pitches?
I think that's what he should be. I mean, I know Brett was saying he's not a one pump chump, but I think
I love how he says that and then he freezes.
Yes, that is the most perfect timing.
So we'll have to get him later. But no, Brett, like you, like Gabe,
Nope.
You back?
sorry, maybe
No,
yes.
you're good.
I love how you said one pump chump and then it just froze.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, yeah, I was calling him like a one pump chump because I know he can technically go further, but I think we've seen with the with throughout this whole season, it's just after that first inning, he kind of just slowly starts to fall apart. And I think 1 inning is fine for him. He got out of the inning in 10 pitches. Like that's kind of what I want from him. I don't need him to go more than that because we have guys who probably can go more than that than 1 inning. So we didn't necessarily need him for another one. But with the way this offense was this game, anyways, like if it wasn't Ciccone, it might have been somebody else who would have blown this game. But it's just one of those things where I feel like Ciccone should just be one. We don't have a long reliever at this point, and I'm fine with it. We have 7 guys back there who can each get you an inning. Most of them will do their job right, and if not, then just put in another guy, and hopefully he can go out for 2 innings. But with Ciccone, I think 1 inning would have been fine. Like the bullpen, I mean, I know they had to use the bullpen, but on Friday, but there's still a few guys that they hadn't used that they could have used on Saturday that they didn't. So I don't know. I disagree with him with using him the second time, just because we have the numbers. We have the numbers that back it up. His OPS and average and everything. It jumps up more than double the second inning. So with this Pirates team, they're a very good team. Like we can't deny that they're not a good team. Like I know they've been a bit of a laughing stock in the Central for a while, but this is a different team. They're very young. They're very annoying, and I mean that in a positive way. They're very annoying to get out. Like they
Like
take
how
a
the
ton
D-backs
of
were last year to teams.
yeah, they take a lot of pitches. Like every time you think you're gonna get through an inning with 5, 6 pitches, the next, the last out is gonna take 9, 10, 11 pitches, and suddenly instead of it being a 6, 7 pitch inning, it turns into 15, 20 pitch inning. So they're a very feisty team. They're a very annoying team. So maybe don't leave a guy like Ciccone out there for 2 innings. Maybe just for one. Maybe against a different type of team. Maybe if you're going against the Athletics or something, maybe with them you can get away with that. But even then, the Athletics have a pretty good hitting team. So I don't know. I think once we start settling these rotation spots, Ciccone is probably the first guy since AAA.
Yeah. Again, he's fine. I don't feel comfortable with him getting more than 3 outs. I just don't he was great in the 4th. He was decent in the 5th. It was the 6th where everything kind of started to go off the rails a little bit. But Brett, floor is yours to try to convince us that he's not a one pump chump.
So I don't know if I mean, just off of the the stats alone, I think I'm still kind of with you guys. I think he might be more utilized in a better role in a 1 inning situation. But I believe with the Bryce Jarvis injury, like Gabe said, we don't have a long reliever, which is I agree, you don't necessarily need one, but there are times where I think it can be beneficial. And Slade's got to step into it for the time being because they're not going to switch Yilber, or they're not going to make Tommy Henry a reliever because he doesn't, I don't think, have the stuff to be a reliever. But since we know Slade can touch the 98, I think he can definitely be a 1-inning guy. But with him going multiple, I know I tweeted it from our account. I felt like that scene of Homelander when he's in the tunnel from the boys, and he's just kind of going crazy, and he's just like, oh my God, what am I doing? Because I'm not usually the glass half full kind of guy. And I would probably be in the same room, like, why the hell are you leaving in Ciccone that long? I think I don't fully and I know obviously the numbers of him facing guys, the second time through. It's looking back on that, especially with hindsight. But in game 1, the fact that they had used Ginkle, Puck, Floro, Martinez, and Thompson,
yeah,
I could kind of understand why Torrey wanted to try to get an extra inning if he could out of Ciccone. Again, it didn't work as well as he planned, as any of us would want. But he still ended up having to use Mantiply, and then even we'll get to him in Seawald and that. So he had to burn the rest of the B bullpen after Ciccone already blew it. But if we had a lead, I would definitely feel a little bit different. I would be okay with Ciccone getting 1 inning and maybe even an extra out in the second inning. I'd be okay with that. But I think just with a little bit of how they were, Torrey, it seemed like he kind of managed this series like a playoff series. Didn't feel like it as much in game 2, but especially with the substitutions in game 3 that he had with putting all the guys in to hit late and just how he managed some of the bullpen. I think it was just he just needed to get some extra length out of Ciccone in that situation. I think it just bit him in the ass. He was hoping he could have that managerial, give him a boost and it's good. Obviously, you can't just sacrifice a win to give a guy a moral boost. That's not what you got to do. That's not what you can do as a manager. But I don't think it's fully on just him leaving him in too long. I think he was a little bit kind of hamstrung. But I do agree. I think Slade is a 2-inning at very most guy, where leave him in for an inning, let his fastball cook in the 98, 97 mile an hour range, and bring him out after that. I don't think he's like Jarvis. I don't think he's like those guys that can actually go. He's not like Josh Colemanter back in the day where he's going to be able to give you 3-4 innings out of the bullpen. Like I said, he's not Jarvis. I don't think he's going to slot into that rotation or into that pen spot. But I think that's just what Torrey was trying to get him to be, and it just didn't work out.
Yeah, definitely. It didn't work out. It was fine for 1 or 2 innings, and the only reason he had to do it was because of the rain delay. I think he wanted, Jordan Montgomery was looking okay. He did leave that just middle third to Joey Bart. That was just stupid. Anyone's gonna destroy that. But I think outside of that, he had looked good through 3 so far. But yeah, when you have an hour plus rain delay, yeah, you don't bring out your starter. But moving on to our next topic, as we discussed, Paul Sewald had been removed from the closer role. He pitched in game 2. It might just be me, but I thought his velocity on his 4-seam seemed to be a lot higher. It looked like he was averaging 92 to 93. The highest he touched was a 93.7. He touched 93 3 times. He threw his 4-seam 7 times out of 15 pitches. He did he did a good job, and we discussed it. Do what you did with Ginkle. Put him in low leverage situations. Just get him his confidence back. And they said it on the broadcast. the bullpen is all behind Paul Sewald as our closer because they know. Like, he just has that experience. And for the most part, he has gotten the job done. And they said on the broadcast as well, like, had his blown saves been like one here and then like 2 or 3 weeks later, another one, it wouldn't be an issue. But it was literally like 4 in the span of like 2 or 3 weeks.
That
Like
month of July was not a kind month to Paul Sewald.
Yeah, like I'm hoping that it new month, he's got his new role. I could see them doing this for maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and then if it looks like he's doing better, they move him back into the closer role. Especially if someone else doesn't really take command of it and do well. Like Ryan Thompson did one game good, another game he didn't do so well. So being a closer is just different. Just because you're a good reliever does not mean you're going to be a good closer. So I was really impressed with what Sewald did here. But Gabe, how long do you think it will be before Torrey does put him back in the closer role?
I honestly think it's just going to depend on his velocity because, yeah, that first game, his velocity was around 93, but today it was, again, hovering around 90, 91. I think one of the outs was an 89-mile-per-hour fastball. It might have been like a pop-up or fly-out. Or might have even been like the hardest hit one, which was like a 103 or something like that. I think for me, it's the velocity. Just get the velocity up because if he's missing, he can still miss bats with the velocity. He can't miss bats throwing 90 miles an hour. So I think it might just take enough time to where it seems like he's in command of his pitches because that's what they said it was, supposedly, that it was a command issue. He just wasn't hitting the spots. And it's true. He truly wasn't hitting the spot. You see where the catcher set up, he wasn't hitting those spots. The issue was, again, for me, it also goes down to the velocity. So if he's able to hit his marks and wherever they position him, like the catcher positions himself, if he's able to hit those spots and those outside corners, up and away, up at the top, or up and in, if he's able to hit that, even that 90-mile-per-hour fastball, it can be a lot more effective than it is right now because it doesn't matter if Gabby sets up and in, if Sewell's just going to throw, a meatball at 90 miles an hour straight down the middle. So I think if they're able to see him have a little bit more command and his velocity at least going in mile per hour to up again, I think they're going to feel a lot more confident put him back in that closer role because, again, we've talked a lot about Paul Sewald about not feeling confident in him. I feel more confident in him than I do everybody else in this bullpen. Like maybe just Puck, he might be the only guy that I feel, that I would trust closing out a game. But Sewald is a guy that I want him to close because he's our closer. If he knows his role, then everybody knows when they're going to come in and what their job is. And right now, with none of them really knowing what their job is, it's like, what can you really do, except just be prepared? And it's not really, a good way to run a team, which is just telling guys, be prepared for anything. That's not what you're there for. You're there to be like, okay, I know we're in the 7th. This is my job. 8th, this is my job. To close it out, this is my job. And so that's
They're
what I'm
not Boy
hoping.
Scouts, okay? They don't need to, be ready for anything, Give them a
Yeah,
plan.
exactly. So, and the thing is, Tori has mentioned in during radio interviews and stuff like that, they game plan, they look at different situations, and they have the scouting reports and their sheets of like, okay, so what happens in this situation if this occurs or that occurs, and so Tori bases stuff out off of that. But as we saw today, like I don't trust Thompson. Thompson has been struggling for the last month or so as well. Puck, I mean, like I said, as of right now, I trust Puck, and there might be a time where I'm not going to trust him so much. But we have to figure this situation out because I like Sewald. I've always liked Sewald. It's just we need him to do his job, and his job is a closer. And I'm hoping there's a day soon, in a couple weeks from now, where we can say again, like we have a shutdown closer.
Yeah. All of our main bullpen arms have had periods where they struggle. J-Mart has struggled. Kevin Ginkel has struggled. Ryan Thompson has. Paul Sewald. We haven't had it.
His first game in Pittsburgh on Monday night.
Yeah, like we haven't had Dylan Floro and AJ Puck here long enough with this team, with this coaching staff, for me to say like I have trust in them. I do like AJ Puck's pitch repertoire. Like he does, I feel like he does have decent stuff to be a closer. And Dylan Floro is all about pitch to contact. That's what his stuff is. He's very low velocity. He's looking to get weak contact. So Brett, like, what do you need to see from Paul Sewald in like the next couple of weeks in these non-closing situations for you to feel comfortable and trust him to be back in the closer role?
So this definitely is going to be kind of like Gabe said. I think the velocity is the biggest key. I was looking at it in today's game. I know he didn't face the toughest part of the Pirates lineup. He wasn't facing Brian Reynolds, O'Neal Cruz, and Andrew McCutcheon. But he did face Bart, G1 Bay, Triolo, and Grandal. He did touch 92 multiple times. To Bart, I think he was dialing it back a little bit, trying to more go for control coming out of the gate because his first two pitches were sweepers at 82.6, 82.9. Then he had a fastball at 90, and then another sweeper that got him to chase. And then when he threw to G1 Bay, that one wasn't even a bad sweeper. Like his fastball got to 92.1. So like I said, that's a great sign. Bay just put a good swing on it. Like the sweeper wasn't the best. It was, it didn't get low enough in on a lefty. So it just kind of frisbeed up there, but it wasn't down the middle. That's a big key. It wasn't just a meatball. Sometimes, a sweeper low and in, the hitter's just ready for it. Got to tip your cap. Then going on to the Triolo at bat, first pitch sweeper kept on the edge, didn't keep it in the middle, and then a nice 92-mile-an-hour fastball up and on the zone, again keeping it out of the middle part of the plate, and then getting Grandal. Grandal swung on a first pitch fastball up and out of the zone. So I think that is one of the bigger keys where maybe it genuinely was a delivery issue. Maybe it just took them an entire month to figure it out until Torey made the change on Friday. But I think just going off of that alone, and I'm going to try to go to his inning on the night previously and see exactly. But I think velocity is the biggest key. If he can keep the velocity up in the 92, it really helps his sweeper and his other pitches play well with it. But at the same time, I think that location is equally a major part of it because, like we've talked about, even in the past, in the beginning of the season, when he was only throwing 90, 91, he was getting saves because he was throwing 91 on the edges with location, with accuracy in good spots. He wasn't being meatball Paul,
Meatball Paul. Yeah, hopefully we don't have to use that meme a lot because it looks great. I love it. It doesn't make me feel well. So, I really do feel like with Paul, it's confidence for the most part, and then maybe mechanics a little bit because he's a strike thrower and he's been missing a lot, like way more like that. Like that's the thing. Like either his sweeper doesn't sweep, or it sweeps right in the middle of the zone, or
he start off well against Brian Reynolds in game 2 with 3 pitches not right down the middle, but the first 2 were borderline on a tee. Then he threw 4 straight pitches, or almost 4 straight pitches, just not even close to the zone. And then he had another fastball almost on a tee for him. So he didn't start off looking good. So that's why it's definitely nice to see him kind of make that day-to-day change. Literally 24 hours later, he's already making some adjustments.
Yeah. So we lose game 2. So we got a rubber match here in game 3. And I was like, Paul Skeens, okay, that's a loss. Thank you very much. And then we get down 4-0. I'm like, oh, we're done. We're cooked. No. Jock Peterson's like, y'all, I got you. By the way, the tweet by the D-backs, just obscenely clutch. Like, that was brilliant. To me, I thought that was so brilliant. Like, we've said it multiple times over the last few months that the DH platoon signing that Mike Hazen did with Jock Peterson and Randall Grichuk has worked out so well. Jock Peterson continues to just prove that this was a great signing. And, he's been, pretty consistent all year. I feel like he hasn't had any real low points. And I'm wondering if that's because he doesn't have to play every day. Like, we go through those stretches like we did with the Nationals, 3 straight lefties. He wasn't playing. This series, pretty sure it was 3 straight righties. He got to play. Like, 2.3 B WAR, 2.3 F WAR. 17.
It's hilarious how if you're just a DH, your WAR is going to be the same on both. Like it really shows how one will value defense more than the other. But sorry.
Yeah, like 73 hits, 14 double. He has a triple somehow. That makes me laugh that Jock Peterson has a triple. He's not fast, you guys. His slash line is the 282, 390, 541 with a 931 OPS. Is this the best free agent signing that Mike Hazen has ever done? Gabe.
The best one he's done.
Are you going to consider our contract extensions for somebody who is already under contract?
Yeah,
like
No.
that's kind of
No.
No, okay, just straight up free agent. Okay.
Yeah.
Straight up free agent. I would say no, because I think Zach Greinke is the best off-season move.
He didn't sign Zach Greinke.
Merrill Kelly, baby.
Oh, Merrill's a good one. Yeah.
Oh wait, yeah, it was the year right before Dave Stewart, right? 2016.
That's the wrong one.
Yeah, that's right. Damn it.
I want this one where he goes, Oppo, you got. Jeez, so beautiful.
Then I guess it would be Merrill Kelly because he was a free agent when they signed him. Maybe at the time didn't seem like it. It took him a couple years to get used to it, to his new role here in the majors. But yeah, I don't know. It's probably Merrill Kelly. Like, you can't find a starter like that anywhere right now. Like, coming into free agency this year, there's not going to be guys like Merrill Kelly, maybe Jack Flaherty. You can compare him a little bit, but Flaherty has been inconsistent throughout most of his career. So you don't know exactly what sort of Jack Flaherty you're going to get. Same with Blake Snell. I think technically can be a free agent, maybe. But yeah, as of right now, I think it would be Merrill Kelly. But Jock Peterson, if he continues it, especially going to the postseason, I think he can be, neck and neck with Merrill. Especially with the need. We really needed a DH, especially when we got last year. And we have almost 60 wins despite not having Merrill. So Jock has been very, very clutch in these situations. Like, that's something that we didn't have in the last few years, and in general, just a big bat that's incredibly clutch. And having him being clutch, and Perdomo and Marte, it's been giving this offense a new life this year.
Question for you, Brett. Now, we know Jock Peterson has played for the Dodgers and the Giants. Before the season, could you imagine ever that you would love a former Dodger as much as we love Jock Peterson?
I think the easy answer is probably no, just because obviously I think it would have made it easy is he didn't just immediately go from like the Dodgers to like us, which maybe would have made me love him more. It's like a little reverse like Peralta Ahmed, like but the fact that he went to like the Braves and then the Giants, he already, he wasn't
Cubs too.
The Cubs as well, like the recency bias of him being a Dodger and whatnot wasn't in my brain. And especially like I try to make it as clear whenever I get the chance with like so many teams. Is like I don't dislike the players. I just dislike the team therefore because I want the team to lose. Jock Peterson, Corey Seager, all those Dodgers for years. I've always just enjoyed the energy they bring, and just how they Jock's up there. He's kind of like a closer. How closer you need that mentality when you're in the on the mound to be like I'm a psycho. I'm gonna get you out with any of my pitches. I don't care. To me, Jock has kind of that like mentality in the batter's box a little bit, but he's a little like he's patient. He's not gonna go swing like O'Neal Cruz and just trying to hit a home run every time. He's like, hey, if you're gonna walk me, you can walk me. That's fine. That's as good as a base hit. But I think just to easily answer the question is I didn't think I would love him as much. I figured I would be like, good signing. He's done a serviceable job, but no, he's been probably one of the other underrated MVPs along with like Brandon Pfaadt, Ryan Nelson, some of the guys that have, not every single time gone out there and carried the team on their back, but more often than not have contributed in ways that it doesn't show out like Cattell, and we'll get to him and his like MVP type season, but multiple times in the year you can look back and you're like, man, that player had some really good, impactful at bats and moments that really put the team over.
Yeah, I just love watching him play.
My mom
Like-
still hates him. My mom, every time, like, she's like, I love when he hits home runs for us, but she's like, he's a Dodger. I can't. We're just two sides of the other coin, or the same coin. She
I mean,
hates him.
yeah.
I'm okay. I understand. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of us don't like Ahmed and Peralta simply because they just put on a Dodger uniform, but I guarantee you none of us care that Orlando Hudson or Gonzo did it.
Yeah, because it was like 20 years ago.
It was before the Dodgers were good too.
Yeah.
I think it also depends on who they are as a person. If you're telling me Matt Kemp wants to sign here, I'd be like, no, get his ass out of here. I don't want to see Matt Kemp in a D-backs uniform, or who are these, or Max Muncy even. Like, there's a few guys on the Dodgers that I truly don't like very much, but the unfortunate thing is, in these last few years, they've had a lot of guys who are very likable, like Jock, like Corey, Cody Bellinger, Kershaw, Mookie, Freddie, Otani. It's like they have too many guys, I think, that are like, well regarded in general. So it's just with Jock, I didn't expect to like him as much as I do, but I mean, I liked his whole vibe when he was in Atlanta. So it's not much of a jump. We're talking about 3 or 4 years, and I remember, what was that question that idiot kid asked him about the Dodgers?
Oh God,
what is it like
How's-
playing on the Dodgers? Yeah, that kid needs to be slapped or something. Like, I don't condone violence, but someone needs to raise their kid a little bit better. But he made like an offhanded remark about, not liking the Dodgers anymore, not wanting to be a part of them. So, since day one, I was a fan of him.
Yes, Corey Seager is a damn menace. He did it for the Dodgers, and he did it with the Rangers as well. I mean, I don't hate him.
I'm sorry, there is no Corey Seager Ranger highlights in Bossing Say.
So, yeah. Like, I will say it every time, and I'll say it all the time. Jock Peterson, that signing was just pure genius. Because I was like Jorge Soler all offseason. I'm like, Jorge Soler. I want Jorge Soler. And then he signed Jock, and I'm like, yeah. Like,
he's like almost 200 more OPS than Soler, I think. 5 more home runs.
Like, I didn't think of it. Like, I was like, it doesn't get me that excited. Completely changed right now. Because Soler hasn't done great. And then he got traded, too. So, really impressive. All right, we need to have a serious discussion. Not just us, but everyone that likes baseball. Yes, Shohei Ohtani is the easy pick for MVP. What he's doing as a DH, it's great. It's fantastic. But how can you be most valuable player when you only play one part of the game? He only plays offense. Again, he's doing amazing things on offense. But what Ketel is doing right now, it needs to be talked about. What he's done, like, I believe they said it on the broadcast, like his last 20, 30 games, he's hitting almost 400. Like, that's insane. Also, 9th inning, he has the most home runs by 2 or 3 by any other player. 9th inning, Ketel Marte is a different beast, y'all. He is a different player. If you look at the stats side by side with Shohei Ohtani and Ketel Marte, yes, Shohei pretty much takes the cake on every single one. But to me, it's not a big gap. It's close. B-WAR, Shohei's at 6.0, Ketel's at 5.7. F-WAR, Shohei's at 5.9, Ketel's at 5.0. So that one is a little bit of a gap. But average, they're pretty close. On base, they're pretty close. It's the slugging that he's a little bit higher on. He does have 6 more homers, 8 more doubles. But Ketel, 6 outs above average. Ketel is probably going to win a Gold Glove at second base. We need to start paying attention that it's not a runaway MVP award for Shohei Ohtani. It's not like, and I feel like there will be some writers that are like, DH, no, can't be MVP, just can't. Especially with the way the Dodgers have been slumping lately, and the way the Diamondbacks have been resurging lately. I think it's a good discussion to have.
If there was somebody like if Otani, I put them in the dock. Obviously, Otani is beating Cattell and everything. He has more WAR, whether it's F WAR or B WAR. He has more at bats, more hits, doubles, triples, home runs, RBIs, stolen bases, walks. He's also got like 30 more strikeouts than Cattell, which is kind of insane actually. Looking at it just on that, Cattell's cut down on strikeouts. He's got a better slash. He's got a better OPS plus and WRC plus. But like Brandon said, he's doing that as just a DH, like kind of like Jock. Jock's having a great year, but do you think some of it could be because he doesn't have to play every single day and he can just focus on hitting? If Cattell wasn't doing what he's doing right now, if his WAR and his average and home runs and all that were considerably much farther behind than Otani, I think giving Otani the MVP award basically in August or September is understandable. But with what Cattell's been doing, I put it in the group chat or in the group chat. I put it in the YouTube chat. Over his last 30 games, he's hitting 360, 427, 684 with 11 home runs and 31 RBIs. He's skyrocketed into, again, the last episode or last podcast or two podcasts ago, we talked about, he should at least get a few votes, to now it's, I don't know, man. There's a genuine case to where it could be closer than it should be, especially, we're not near the end of the season yet. I think the divisional race and how that ends up will be a big tell. But even if the D-backs don't win it and we're only a game or two behind the Dodgers and Cattell still is this close in stats, I think he has a really good case to at least deserve a hefty amount of votes.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's going to come down to recency bias too. Who ends the strongest? It doesn't matter if they end up with the same stats. Let's say if Cattell goes off and Otani sort of drops off a little bit, because right now he leads in OPS by a little bit under 100 points, but Shohei is slumping a little bit. I mean, he slumped against Oakland of all teams. So Cattell is going on a really good hot streak. I know he went 1 for 4 yesterday and 1 for 5 today, but it was a very, very valuable 1 for 4 and very valuable 1 for 5. Like, he still got RBIs. He got the go ahead. Like, his at bats have been incredibly valuable. I know we made a joke about it, about Otani hitting home runs and not even getting the lead, or he'll hit a home run late when they're already up by 10 anyways.
I made that for once, by the way.
Yeah. But it's one of those things where I feel like coming into the second half, coming into where they are right now, the D-backs are 5 games behind the Dodgers. If we're talking about, mid-September or late September when the votes start being cast, if the Dodgers are behind the D-backs, if Cattell's going off and Shohei, is still consistent, he still has that 10, 20 OPS, like his numbers stay the same, but Cattell either catches him more or less in some accounting stats, and if the D-backs go ahead, like I can see the writers voting for him instead, because sometimes writers do vote in for the best guy on the best team, and if the D-backs are able to overtake the Dodgers, he does become the best guy on the best team. So I think he has a very good shot. We've seen them do it before with guys who get hot at the right time, like Jake Arrieta. Zach Greinke deserves that award. I mean, he was consistent throughout the whole year. Arrieta just had a good second half, and that won him the Cy Young. Even though if you look at every accounting stat, Greinke was better. But I think this is definitely one of those situations where, at the end of the year, whether it's Cattell or it's Otani, no one's gonna get it unanimous, and there can be an actual discussion over an MVP, which isn't like. I mean, when was the last time Judge Otani truly had an MVP where you're like, damn, I think this guy might, there's an actual conversation, because even with Vlad Jr., Otani pitched that year too, so kind of wasn't much of a competition with him, or even with Judge. It's like Otani has just been so good for so long that anytime it's an MVP discussion, he's the unanimous winner. And even though the Aaron Judge won it that year, even though he shouldn't have, but that's whatever. I think Cattell definitely is in the race now, and he should have been in the race all along. I just think because he's not playing for the Dodgers, he's not playing for the Yankees, so the media doesn't pay attention to him.
Yeah. Like if he continues to do this, like Brett said, like if his average or his on base were like if Ketel was hitting like 270, no, I'd say no. But he's 300. Shohei's at 307. Like, yes, Shohei has more stolen bases. Ketel's not really a base stealer though. Like that's not what he is. Also, if he wasn't playing Gold Glove caliber defense, I wouldn't say it either. 6 outs above average. Like he's playing such good defense. He's being consistent on offense. Like he has already surpassed his home run total from last season. Like that's so
crazy.
impressive. Like so
Also,
impressive.
Because never listened to any gambling app or even on Twitter. Ketel Marte does not have a career high OPS of 919. 2019, he had a career OPS of, I believe, like 950, 960. So he's still having a great year, but it's crazy to still think like he is in contention for MVP this season. And 2019, Christian Yelich was so insane that Ketel still finished third.
Yeah. Like just absolutely.
Is my question to you guys actually? If this ends up going
981, he had an OPS of 981.
Yeah, 90, insane. If the season, let's say the season ended today, where the division was, where the stats were, all that, do you think the baseball universe would right the wrongs of Paul Goldschmidt losing the 2013 MVP and have Ketel Marte win the 2024 MVP over Shohei Ohtani?
All I know is Dodgers fans would riot. They'd be like, "Could tell who?"
Dodger fans riot at games anyway. They don't need a reason to riot. Who cares? They riot with each other.
Yeah, like that 2019 season for Ketel was really impressive. But Cody Bellinger had an 8.6 WAR that year.
Was it 29? Okay, I forgot who won it in 2019. I know
Yep.
Belly and Yelly both were disgusting. That's why, like, Ketel Marte didn't deserve it that year, but it's just insane that the
was
numbers
probably the last year Cody Bellinger was good though. He fell off that second half though, so bad. But yeah, he had an 8.6 WAR, like 47 homers, like 95 walks, like.
Kind of like what Gabe was saying earlier, it kind of finishes on like who, or it hinders on who finishes the season strongest. I think Goldie had a really strong case in 20. I think he was 17 to win MVP, but because his September, he was hitting like I think like a $190, and JD Martinez carried the team. He basically just punted away the award. Like he could have won it if he just hit like 260, 270, and was just okay the rest of the way because of how good he was for the first like 4 months. But he just could not win it. So I think what Gabe said is a great point. Like if Ohtani just, even slumps a little bit and Ketel, even vice versa, if one person slumps and the other has a solid 2 weeks, I think that might be the entire gap they need to, run away with it.
That was also the year where he played half at second and half in center field. Like that experiment of Ketel in center field was bad. Like, I don't ever want to see that again.
Oh, dude, he was not a center fielder. That was a rough time.
Yeah, like I have to agree with Bryce here. Like I think Ohtani gets it if they vote right now. I really do. But luckily they don't vote now. They vote, I think, at the beginning or middle of September. So I was glad to see that we got a series win here. And I think people forget it's not best player, it's most valuable player. Like you take Ketel off this roster, I don't think they're in the hunt for a wild card.
It's tough too because with how hurt the Dodgers are, I think you can still make somewhat of the same case for them and Ohtani. Like if you take Ohtani out, I think the Dodgers might. I think it's if you take Ketel off the D-backs are not a playoff contending team. Where if you take the Ohtani out of the Dodgers with the injuries they've had, they might be where the Braves or the Mets or even we are right now. They might be in the middle of a wild card. So I guess a little bit of that, like I I can see the Cattell is still in that aspect more valuable, but Otani has still been doing a really good job of carrying the team and what they've had there with their injuries. If Mookie Betts was there the entire time and going off like Mookie Betts normally does, then I think it lends more validity to like, hey, Cattell is the more valuable guy to his team overall. But because of some of the injuries, and even Gabe's mentioned it before, their bottom half of their lineup is borderline non-existent at times. And what he's been able to do at least and keep them, with no starting rotation, 4.5 games above the Padres and Dbacks, it does still lend a little bit of credibility to him. So like you said, I'm in the agreement with you and Bryce, but I just want the baseball universe to right the wrongs of the past. Make it right, baseball gods. Okay.
Cattell just got to keep doing what he's been doing all year. Like, let's see if he can stay around that 300, continue to hit these clutch 9th inning home runs, and then we'll be good. This team hasn't lost a playoff series in their last 10. They're 9-0-1 now.
Playoff series?
Sorry. Just game series in general.
Making sure I was like, it feels like the playoffs with every fucking series so far these last 2 months.
So, good job there. Let's series preview. We might get to see Eduardo Rodriguez this week.
He's real.
Rumor is he is the starter for Tuesday. Tuesday is right now TBD. And apparently his last sim game, he looked really good. He's with the team right now. So I think he's the starter for Tuesday. And I think that's what a lot of people think. I just don't know what they're going to go about and do. Like, are they going to have him go 5-6, or do we think we have him on a pitch limit of 70 to 75 just so that he doesn't overwork himself? Because he hasn't pitched in a game since March. And I don't think he did a rehab start like Merrill Kelly did. Merrill had a rehab start with Amarillo this week.
I think it was Hillsborough.
Was it?
Usually whenever I hear hops, I remember because I like beer, so I think it was Hillsborough. So,
Gabe, what would you like to see the team to do with Eduardo in this first start if he does start on Tuesday?
I think it would be kind of normal to start him up around 75 pitches. Basically gave him, what they do with every starter at the beginning of the season, which is 75 pitches for the first couple of weeks, ramp up to 95, 100. It might be a little late for him in some ways, but if we're able to get a good 4 or 5 innings from him, then let the bullpen take care of it the rest of the way, I think we're going to be in good position coming into September. He's going to have, I believe, 4 or even 5 starts in August, just the way this works out. So he has time to figure it out, and we have time to see him and see who he is and what he's going to bring to the table. Because if we have a 3.5 guy in Erod coming into September, then I'm going to feel very, very confident about this team's chances, not just in the rest of the season, but for the playoffs. So that's mostly what I want to see out of him. Again, same with Montgomery. Just give us a chance to win. If you go 5 innings, give us a chance to win. Let them score 2 or 3, whatever. We can, with the way this offense is rolling, we can come back from that. We can win games like that. The magic number is 5. Score 5 runs, and then let the pitching, figure it out. Let them score less than 3 or 4 runs against us. And I think we should be able to win a lot more series coming up. We have 10, you said, right? 10 in a row?
Yes.
10 series in a row.
Not lost.
Not lost.
Yeah.
So I think we can keep this train rolling depending on what happens here. If not, if we lose the series against Cleveland, there's no shame in that. We're facing off a lot of very good teams for the next week and a half or so. So this is the time to see what we truly have with Erod and some of our other bullpen guys and even some of the offensive guys. And then the next couple of weeks when we face up the Marlins, the Rockies, or whoever it was, I think we should be in good shape and be ready to go against them.
Just win series, because we have seen what that has done to our record by not losing a series in 10 in a row. We're 8 games over 500 right now, which seems crazy because at the beginning of July, I'm pretty sure we were 7 games under, and everyone was like, are we going to be sellers at the trade deadline? And then we talked about they had a big 2-week stretch before the All-Star break, and we're like, 7 and 5. We're like, if they can go 7 and 5 and be pretty close to 500 at the break, then it's definitely plausible. And they did. And they've just continued to ride it. Like, they, I think, are 20-8, I believe, in their last 28, which is amazing. And like the pitching matchups here, they look to favor the Diamondbacks for sure. Monday is Gallen versus Logan Allen. Tuesday is Lively against supposedly Erod. And then Wednesday, which is a very early game, Fott versus Carrasco. Those are 3 very winnable games for us against probably one of the top teams in the American League. So it's a good team for us to see where this team is. Brett, what do you want to see out of the series?
I think just keep the train rolling, man. Just win the series. We got probably 2 of our better pitchers going up with Gallen and Fott. Let's see if we can have the offense show out for Erod so he doesn't have to worry about being perfect in his 4 or 5 or however many innings. But I just want to see a series win. It's going to be a tough series, a tough team. The Guardians are a really good team. They're leading their division. They split their series with the Orioles. The Orioles are equally a good team, so it's not going to be a cakewalk. I think it might be a little bit of a tougher competition than the Pirates. That's not even a slight into the Pirates at all. They're tough. I think it's just going to be an extra step above. But like I said, I just win the series. Just keep the momentum and the streak going.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to wait and see. For me, it's always just get a series win 2 or 3, because then you just keep adding to that percentage. A sweep would be nice because the Dodgers are playing the Phillies, so that could work
Phillies
out.
have not been playing good.
Yeah, I know they haven't been looking the best, but they're playing. I'm wondering if they started to play down to their competition. So playing a really good team might be different. So we'll just have to.
I just noticed the White Sox are 27 and 87, by the way. And
yes, White Sox are bad. Like, I'm glad.
Can we all just admit that the 2021 season was not nearly as bad as what White Sox fans must be going through this season? Holy shit!
It is. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Gabe, any parting thoughts for the pod today?
Yeah, hopefully they can actually help Brandon Fott win this time, because I know he didn't pitch well on Saturday, right? Saturday or Friday, whatever day he pitched. I know he was looking a little rosy cheeked out there, looking, kawaii and everything, but he still gave this team a chance to win. He came out of the game with the win, and then the bullpen blew it. So hopefully against Cleveland, either it's the offense or the bullpens, please help this man out. Get him some wins. Get him at 500, because he's like 5-6 right now in wins and losses. Like, this man does not deserve that. This guy should be like at 15 wins. He is who Ranger Suarez thinks he is.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love this subtle jab game.
Yeah, it's definitely good. Brett, any thoughts?
No, I mean, like, I think just Gabe already stole the words. Just show out for Fott. Let it be one of those where the offense actually provides run support for him, and he, can bounce back a little bit. I know the humidity might have been a big reason why he was a little bit of a wild in the game against the Pirates, because it was like, I think 90% humidity with like 90-degree weather. So miss me with that bullshit. But I don't know. I want to see some solid pitching. We got 3 of our pitchers that, if you'd have told me going into the beginning of the season, I would have expected them to both have or all 3 of them have kind of what they do now, mid to 3 to close to 2 ERAs, and then just go out there, dominate, give me 5-6 innings a pitcher. And Erod's a little different. Give me 5 innings from him, but I just want to see some consistency from the starting rotation. Give the bullpen a little bit of a breather. Don't rely on them to get more than half of the outs that we need.
Yeah, I I want to see glimpses that he looks good. Dink, thanks for stopping by. We really do appreciate it. I want to say thank you to Bryce, Martin, William, Oscar, AZ Bubba, everyone that was in the chat here on YouTube. We appreciate it. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and make sure to go ahead and check us out on Twitter at Dbacks Dispatch. See y'all next time.